Hello, 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 and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion. Today is Wednesday. Hope you're all having a great day so far. I'm being very, very busy. I thought that this was my room. I was like, wait a minute, don't I have the background clipped out and stuff? Anyway, yeah, that's where we're at. There we are. There we go then. Checking to make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. Go over here. All right, so Mojo is here. Hi, I'm Mojo. But, you know, how did you know the stream bot was broken when I hadn't done any commands yet? That's really impressive. You're like psychic, something. Okay, anyway, lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff. Scooch, close. Oh, the Discord bot, that one's been broken for a while. So lately I reacquainted myself with the repo for where Broken Sword had put the Discord bot, and I was going to start working on it so that I can fix the whoever is now live message. So it's working for whenever people end their stream, but it does not work to announce when a stream starts. So I was going to look into that, and then I got a whole bunch of other stuff happen. Namely, like one of the most prominent things being this stupid Visual Studio thing that you've been trying to help me with too. Yeah. So for my streams, I've been manually putting it up there. But I wanted to get it to work in the bot. So like here it is actually. I think it's this one. He had two repos. One was called Lion Stream Services Solution and the other one was just called Stream Services. And I don't know which one was the right one. Let's see. Let's just take a quick glance. And I need to see solution tree. This looks right. Maybe? What's the other one look like? I don't remember. Let me double check to see if he made it public. github.com/Chef Paget. If you can see it in his GitHub, then yes, it is public to the community. If you can't, then he shared it and invited me to it. And I'm still looking for it. I just need to figure out which one of these was the right one. Okay, so not the Lion Stream Services solution. It was definitely the regular Stream Services repo. And that is public, yes. Yeah, I still want to work on this so that I can understand how it works. I'm switching from having the, what is this called? Azure Functions to having a local running version that I can debug locally without needing to use like ngrok and whatever other hosting methods I need to do to debug functions. At least the logic will be in here. So like the HTTP trigger test is just the thing that, like, does this even do anything? I'm so confused. Subscribe. Pub sub. Yeah, okay, so we subscribe to Twitch, to some Twitch events, and listen for channel starting and channel ending, or various other things. And then, yeah, I don't know. I do want to read through it though and fully understand what it does, because I've been wanting to. I've been meaning to. I just have been doing other things with my times. For example, during the stream, we've been working on this financial management tracker application, and lately we've been doing this calculator functionality by doing test-driven development on it. We have a whole bunch of tests that we want to pass, and a whole bunch of methods that are not yet implemented that we are currently implementing so that the tests do pass. And all the meanwhile, as we are writing these methods and getting tests to go green, we are also doing some refactoring of the existing logic to make the functionality even better without breaking the green tests. So let's take a look at what tests are currently passing with the work that we have done. Done. But yeah, I've definitely just decided to drop the whole debugging this issue with Visual Studio, because I've narrowed it down to that language.host thing and this particular project, because I created a new project. I'll probably try cloning another project. I've cloned the same project to a different location on the hard drive and opened it, and I'm still getting the same behavior. So Mojo did give me another lead, something to do with converting from WPF to Blazor. However, this is not converting from WPF to Blazor. This is enhancing the WPF app with Blazor. But it's been like this for 3 years now, and there are none of the other team members are experiencing this. And another machine that I have with the Rebo cloned on it is not experiencing it. But it's this one solution on this machine. I think software jobs will be badly affected by, I'm going to guess AI. Oh, you did put AI. By AI in the future. So that is a community day topic if ever I saw one. We could talk more in depthly about it on Friday if you would like. However, just to answer you now, I don't define badly. I do think that software jobs will be affected by AI. However, I don't think it would be a bad thing. It would just be transforming. It would be different. So not in the super near future, like in the next 4 to 5 years, maybe, unless it really, really does exponentially grow using Moore's law, Bayes' theorem, whatever the one is about technology and things getting smaller and technology getting more advanced in an exponential rate. But yeah, so yes, it'll change. It'll probably be bad to some people because they won't be able to do the same type of work that they're used to doing. Like me, I am absolutely enjoying doing Blazor web development, or Blazor full stack cross-platform development. It is so much fun for me. It is where I excel. But I am also wanting to shift gears and get into XR, into extended reality type things. So augmented reality would be my focus. Virtual reality would be an afterthought for me. And if I can leverage AI to help me do that, because I have a whole bunch of thoughts and a whole bunch of ideas that I want to see come to fruition, then I would absolutely love AI to advance in that direction. Would you say that computer science is still a good degree for the future, or something more hands-on like mechanical engineering? Computer science is not going to go away, in my opinion. So take it with a grain of salt. Don't take this as gospel truth. But computer science, because of the way that our technology is advancing, it may be called something different, but it's still computer science. It is the study of computing systems. And actually coming up with new techniques and new approaches to solving problems using computers. And that's the whole degree, the whole formal education system is kind of like, it depends on how fast new curriculum is created to keep up with the current technology changes. That's what would tell you whether or not CS is relevant enough. But I'm sure that robotics and just mechanical engineering in general would be beneficial, but not everyone is oriented that way, just like not everyone is oriented in the software mindset is what I'll call it. Good questions. And if you have opinions on it too, if you have discussion back, don't let my answers be the end of the discussion, because those are just my opinions only, off the top of my head without doing research. Okay, let's show the app while we are between questions. CD. Server. Dana watch. Lucky ducky. So I am launching the current progress of our app, and we're going to open up the calculator almost immediately. But if you do want a quick whirlwind tour through the app, just let me know. For those of you that might not be familiar with the actual application we've been working on the stream, I'd be happy to introduce you to it. But just keep in mind that this is a multi-platform version of the app where we have one UI to rule them all, and that is Blazor. So we wrote all of our UI using Blazor. We can launch the app as a WebAssembly application running in the web. We can run the app as a Blazor server application that is server rendered and then has the live communication, the live circuit between the server and the client, aka your web browser, so that UI changes are done incrementally and piecemeal, little by little, only changing the DOM for the things that are changing. And we also have a version, or not a version, we have a way for you to run it as a WPF application. We also created a MAUI project so that we could target Android, iOS, Mac, Tizen, Windows. Even though the WPF app does target Windows. And I learned a lot more about WPF and UWP than I wanted to learn about today. So I work for a major OEM, and there are some efforts being made to consolidate all of the diagnostics used across the OEM's native apps. And I'm on a team that has developed an app. I've only been helping to improve it. So they've developed an app that will run all sorts of hardware diagnostics on your computer, if you have one of those types of computers. And the app is currently a WPF app. And in order to be a Windows Store app, previously you needed to be a UWP application. because they wanted to make sure that any applications that are offered in the Windows Store are sandboxed and they can't access things that they shouldn't access. But then it's like, these are OEM applications that need to access things like the video card or display cameras and stuff and audio devices. So then there were other efforts made, and then they were retracted, and then there's this big mess, and now this is where we're at. So I don't have very many details about it because I can't get very many details about it. So I'm going to stop talking about it. Let's go back to gang member Trey's message. I don't have much experience, but I was a computer engineer student, but then switched to CS, but I started regretting it since I feel CE has a more of a safety net, since you could also work in hardware. So I do respect CE a lot. I couldn't do it. I definitely took some CE courses during my CS degree, and I really enjoyed them. Like, I even got an Arduino so that I can practice just rigging things up and doing hardware related things, but I found myself enjoying all of the software part of it. Very little to do with any kind of hardware. I just don't like physical world stuff. I'm very nebulous like that. Conceptual. So I don't know, maybe it's just that you're more oriented to doing computer engineering, to doing real world hardware type stuff. And you have a slight bias to thinking, it's more safe to work in hardware, when it could be just as traumatic. AI could be just as traumatic a disruptor. That's the word I'm looking for. It could be just as big a disruptor for hardware that it is for software. So machines that can build machines and make decisions on how to adjust those machines. Kind of thing. Who needs a computer engineer to create a new type of chip when an AI could think of a new chip and new ways to lay it out to make it better, faster, stronger, etc. And so that's why all of the industries are going to be affected in some way. It's just, how do we adapt as people in our industry? 5 plus 2 equals plus 3 equals. Oh, right. We were supposed to look at the test first. Times 4 equals. This is working amazingly. What test are we currently working on? So I didn't run all the tests. Let's rerun the calculator tests. Ooh, thank you so much for the follow. And Thindle says, this is how I'm reacting, with the link that I have to click on. Why do I have to click on a link? This is fine. I'll on fire. Okay. But hi, Thindle. If you guys don't know Thindle, he is an amazing .NET developer who unfortunately was not feeling well enough to stream yesterday, which is kind of sad. It would have been nice, but completely understandable. Definitely take care of you. Make sure that you are healthy and doing well. I hope you are doing better now. Okay, so we are on this consecutive operator test. I am, but not good. Well, that sucks. I'll stream again as soon as I can, though. Yeah, I mean, you don't owe anything to anybody. We definitely are happy to... Ooh, why didn't that clear out when I hit equals? We definitely do think about you and send positive vibes to you. As a community, we all do it. Everyone does. if we do submit, we do the thing. If not calc error, we will also clear out the active operator. Clear 5 plus 4 equals, and then if I start typing again, I need to clear that too. Yeah, that's going to be one of the other things that we'll need to fix. But we are on, oh, we're not on this one yet. We're on the one right above it. Which is just consecutive operator, not pressing an operator after pressing the equal sign. Okay, so if we run these tests, got instructions to take the pills earlier in the evening, so we'll see what happens then. Pills. He's all like, I had to take some pills. Get your minds out of the gutter. They were prescribed. Just because they're prescribed doesn't mean you... I mean, take a look at OxyContin. Oxycodone? Anyway. Oh my gosh, Ken, let us troubleshoot this. Yeah, I am taking them as prescribed. That's good to hear. Okay, so we have a failing test. It is consecutive operators total correctly, which is wrong. The thing that happened for this one was we were expecting 92 and we got 88. So let's find out what happens when we try to input the values from this test, which is, for the first one, 1 plus 22 plus 4. And then the equal sign. Oh no. Wait, what? 1 plus 22 plus... Oh no. Okay. Plus 4. Oh, crap. Okay. So we kind of see what's going on, which is after we push the plus sign, it takes whatever the current input number is and then does a plus after it, as opposed to current value plus the input. So the way that we should be able to fix this is either the case is submit, or we have a current value and active op and previous op is not null. So let's see if that is enough for us to fix this logic. So if op is submit, operator.submit, or prev op is not null, and so this is going to be a bunch of stuff. So it's either previous op is not, or not either. It's either we are pushing the equal sign, or we have a previous operator and we are pushing another operator and the previous operator is not null. So does that mean that we only need to know if previous operator is not null? Because this would be any operator and previous op is not null, and current calculated value has value. Are you a nullable enum? So you can be a has value. Is one of my enums none by chance? No, good. Max is here. Hello, Max. I'm gonna say a hard maybe. Close enough, right? Computer says to Max, we need the 1 week update from your hardware problems. I'm personally interested in your hardware problems. Still bad, no fixes, still crashes. The most recent thing that happened was it froze when you were playing. Forza, that's what I said. Gave you a random warning that too much memory of my GPU is in use. And when I clicked on OK, PC just froze. Didn't blue screen at all. So not helpful. So if you don't know what we're talking about, Max Purple Dragon had asked in our Discord in one of our channels for some help with some hardware issues he's having where his computer would just shut down. No error, no blue screens, no error messages, it would just shut down. And so he tried a few things that were suggested by a few people, and now he's at a point where whatever I just said. He does get some errors, and then it freezes, and then other times it crashes, he says. Hello, Errol? Errol says, I'm new on this stream, and I'm searching for an ASP.NET developer to talk about Entity Framework and lazy loading. Is there anyone, so I was just mentioning our Discord, is there anyone who has a little bit of time? We have a Discord server where you can ask questions like that openly. No one will berate you for asking questions, especially about .NET stuff. It's a really, really, really good place for you to post a question that you might have about it, and you will typically get some pretty good answers relatively shortly if there is anyone that can help you. There's a channel in there, probably the codehelp.net one would be a good place to put it. Otherwise, definitely feel free to ask on the stream. On Fridays, we have Community Day where we can talk about whatever topics you want and we'll focus on them. So if you want, we can dive into Entity Framework and lazy loading. Specifically, lazy loading for Entity Framework. Yeah, that'd be something that I would want to research ahead of time though, because I don't have very much about COM interop. You can post your question. I have a little bit of experience with COM, and I'm currently working on a desktop app that has a lot of I guess it's not really COM stuff. It's pinvoke and Win32 API. Oh man, I'm dropping chat. I'm dropping chat. Okay, so there's this conversation going on between Max and Peter, where Peter said, we need the 1 week update. And then to Thindle, he said, on the other stream, they were spreading FUD about DB migrations and don't listen to them. False? I don't know what FUD stands for. Effed up descriptions? I had only good takes. Everyone else's takes were fear-based. Fear under duress. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Ah. I love DB migrations. And then Max continued saying, I got some errors. I think it's about GPU VRAM because I got multiple game errors for VRAM. Yeah. I've coded a functional tic-tac-toe. Oh, that's awesome. And then Peter said to Max, hardware problems are likely the cause if you can find a stress test GPU. Yeah, so if you check the thread, he's been using a few tools and got a whole bunch of errors output, but they didn't mean much from the one that I recommended, OCCT. And can get it consistently failing. You can then begin to test each component individually. And then he said, I did today benchmark again my GPU and no errors. Weird. But Fortuna Belly, hello, was asking about COM interop. So yes, you can definitely post questions in our Discord about COM interop, code help. If it's in a .NET application, probably codehelp.net. If it's in any other type of project type, then maybe use the code help not.net. Yeah, feel free to ask there. Once I catch up on chat, I will be hopping back to finishing out this logic. Yeah, fear the unknown. Oh my goodness. So thank you very much for the Discord. I will ask my question on it. Happy coding to you and to everyone. Thank you. Yeah. And Peter said they were telling him DB migrations wouldn't work in real enterprise. And I've done them for 10 years plus at 3 places now. I've done it as well. Would that be considered real enterprise? I mean, the applications that I use are applications that affect national, or that need to abide by national regulations. So I don't know. But anyway, I use DB migrations, code first migrations, whatever. And then Thindle said, our electric cars are prone to catching fire, so instead of looking up the facts, I'm going to be scared. Yeah. I've been building manual SQL migration programs, but I'm looking at switching over to EF migrations instead. I mean, you should read the code, still read the code. Yeah, absolutely. So every time that I add a new migration, I read through the migration to make sure that it's not going to do something I'm not expecting it to. Otherwise, I will revert the migration, fix my code, and then create a new migration. I'm still not 100% sure why running it during startup is bad, because, except for when your migrations take a long time. There is a very valid reason for that. We could talk about that on Friday. There's a large risk of the application being down during migration, always, though, true. Like at startup, what happens if there is a crash? Or if the migration causes the application to not work correctly. And you might not necessarily know. Yes, and if you have a load balance situation or a distributed application, exactly what Tyron just said, and hi Tyron, because if you have many instances, it's possible for 2 or 3 instances to try to migrate at the same time. And then Max is asking if there's anyone that has time right now, because everything needs to be right now. I have no idea what I can do now. And Peter says, if you can't get it to fail, we can't help you. You're floating in the ocean far and wide from land. Stop making so much sense. Benchmark was already on Ultra. Okay, so before I continue reading chat, we will get this thing to work, and then I will hop back to chat afterwards. So I was wondering, do I really need to check for submit, or do I just need to check if these conditions are true? There is a previous operator, which means that pushing any other operator will perform the calculation. Pushing submit first. Ooh, yeah. So then what happens if we push submit? Do I need to worry about that at the moment? I don't need to worry about that at the moment because we need to write a test for that. Starts at 0. Yeah, So to do, test for what should happen when submit is the first button pressed. Okay, so we need to know what to do, what we should expect when you push the equal sign. So for now, we're going to code this without that in mind. We're going to code this to keep all of the rest of the code working correctly. And this will be if the previous operator has value, which means we're pushing any other operator after having already put in one value, one other operator. Then we will do the calculation. Ooh, and yeah, that was the other thing. And the previous calculated, or the current calculated value is not empty. And we can do this. Then we'll switch on that. Excuse me. Wow, that took some time to wake up. And you can, I can change over to, since we're going to be working in these two, I'm going to change my window layout to the full expand. So no side tabs, no, excuse me. I thought that I told you to be, right, is there no way to hide tabs? There might not be a way to hide tabs. Okay, well anyway, full expand at least collapses everything over there, but I'm going to squish this down nice and tiny so that we have more horizontal space. Yay, horizontal space. Okay. If we have pushed another operator before, and we're pushing a new one now, and we have already calculated a value before, we will calculate the next value based on the previous operator that we selected. Cool. And then if the operator is not submit, we will do this stuff. Will we though? This is not true anymore. We will not do that stuff. 1 plus 5 plus. Yeah, okay. So the behavior that we are expecting to see here is when you do 1 plus 5 plus, oh, it is behaving similar. Yeah, so this is what I was expecting. Okay, this is actually the behavior that I want in this app. When you push a number plus another number followed by another operator, my formula output should be the number plus another number equals the one that you, or equals the current value. So I don't want to clear. Yeah, I want it to look like this. If I had just finished pushing plus, I want it to look like that, with plus being my active operator. So 1 plus 5, plus should have this thing output as 1 plus 5 equals, and then this should be 6. Do I want that? I don't think I want that. Yeah, I kind of like this approach better. I'm not angry at this. I'm not angry at this. Let's see if it passes the test now. And if I didn't break any of the other tests. This should be all green and yellow triangles only. All green, yellow triangles. Perfect. All right, back to chat. So I said that I was going to read chat after I implemented that one. Made it turn green, grain, grain, grain. Okay, so then Thindle said in the other channel, it was basically it's bad because people say it's bad. This was on the topic of Entity Framework, or on the topic of doing migrations on application start. And then Tyron said, I solved this by creating Kubernetes job that runs before everything else. But the downside here is that it's possible the upgrade will break non-upgraded clients. So you need to ensure your changes aren't breaking. Yeah, otherwise that would be a point, like if you're going to do a massive database or a breaking change in your database, then that would probably be an instance where you would want to take down your, if you have a distributed system or if you have a load balancer, take down all of your apps, all of your sites, all of your clusters, all of your nodes, whatever it's called, and then do your migration and then bring them back up once you're sure it's stable. That way all of them will be taking on the new database stuff and get the new app or something. Good grief. I wasn't good griefing at you guys. I was good griefing at the my email. So like there was this issue that someone brought up from our product team, the client team, and they're like, this thing isn't behaving. Do you know why? And so I wrote back a message that said, I can do some research in that, or we would have to do some research in that. And it's like possibly network specific, but I asked for some basic information. He had just sent it back. And then someone else on the product team, the client team, that is not one of the developers is like, have you tried this and this and this? And it's like, just give us a second to do some research on that, man. Anyway, okay. So then Peter said to Max, try CPU load testing and RAM load testing. If those don't fail, the problem might actually be your game drivers. That's a good one. Have you looked for any firmware updates? Because it could be the hardware needing some firmware updates, especially like NVIDIA and Radeon and AMD. Is Radeon still a thing? Is Radeon the product name? Anyway, NVIDIA and AMD have game-ready drivers, game-specific drivers that operate different for your games, for some games, so that those games can run smoother and use different parts of the hardware. So maybe you don't have the game-specific drivers needed. And then Tyron says, I solved this. I already read that. I suspect this is the hardest part of using this in a real production environment. Yeah. So I guess database migrations that, well, like using a database in production is going to have that as an artifact. If you need to change your database structure and your code is written in such a way that you're expecting the structure to give you back certain data, which is why when you do migrations, you aren't actually changing data types or column names, unless you are making sure that in your new specification, whatever you want to call it, you are mapping those columns to the right output. Which is why people are like, just use views. But anyway, gosh, I'm going in like 20 different directions with that thought. Using a database in any application still runs the risk of you need to modify your database structure. Your application doesn't know how to receive that information. And so you need to update the code that your application is using. So you need to deploy that at the same time as doing your migration. And there are chances of things breaking down in that. But migrations still are just one way to update your database that I find to be pretty easy. You're gonna have to do it anyway. May as well do it in a source controlled, trackable way. Yay, testing, absolutely. That is what we're doing. We're doing some TDDDD, and we'll get back to implementing or to turning another one of these tests green, which is going to be this one next after I catch up in chat. And then I'll do that test, and then I'll drop chat for a little bit while I implement that one, and then I'll come back to chat. But for now, let me finish catching up. And by the way, my CPU throwed like 4,000 errors, literally 4,000. Yep, I remember that. Dendel said, if it's a blog or something else that doesn't have a lot of state changes, you can just set up a copy, do the migrations, and then switch over to the new one. But if you've got a lot of rights that cannot fail, like money, then that'll be harder. Okay, nothing specific, only the homeless version of OCCT. That's funny. You're funny. Did you try the other app that Zulius recommended? The other tester called, or maybe it was Sudden Gun. Zulius. It was Zulius. The one called Range 5. 5. So he recommended 2 utilities. HW Info and Prime 95. Yeah, okay. But if you do stored procedures, you can version those too. Absolutely. Yeah, stored procedures and views where your output will always be the same regardless. Maybe your data structure changes, but you update your stored procedures or your whatever it's called, your view, so that it gets the correct information or gets the information differently in a more efficient way. It's just when the actual data your application needs changes. And so you write a new stored procedure or you change an actual column, add a column to a table, whatever. Oh, hello, Sir Black Soul, who came in 20 hours ago. I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. I am. It's fun so far. We try and do forward compatible migrations. Yep, that work with the old code base and the new code base. But yeah, I think Tyrant is a voice of reason, and we missed you on the other stream. We do 1 item potent, and then 2 forward compatibility migrations, and EF migrations specifically can't do those easily, ? I think they can. I think they can. I think that's the argument. And then Rao says what Peter said regarding how we migrate. TDD even, my heart. Yeah, so I've been wanting to do this from the beginning, but what happened was the very first tests, I'll show this part. The very first test that I was writing for this app before even writing the code for the UI was on the way that I'm going to handle transactions. So I set up my structure, I set up my interfaces for how to do transactions. And a transaction in this app, since it's a financial tracking application, is an exchange of money from one of your tracked accounts to somewhere else, or from somewhere else to one of your accounts, or between accounts, between tracked accounts. So a monetary transaction, a financial transaction is what I'm talking about when I say transaction. So anyway, finding a way, I don't know why that failed, but we aren't paying attention to that. Finding a way to test that in an easy way with the data structure that I decided on going with and with my database required a lot of setup just to get the tests ready. So that looks like this. I have, I'm using mock. I haven't updated it, but I'm using mock. Buyer beware. Anyway, I'm using mock to mock up my DB context, essentially, mock up any services that I need for all of my tests, and mock up anything that those services use that are not the thing that I'm testing. And then for each of the things that I wanted to accomplish using my service for handling transactions, I wrote all of the tests for them and then started implementing them. But I was so buried in not really understanding what I was doing with these mocks and just getting it set up that I'm like, you know what, let's just implement the application using our design, using what we decided on going with. And so we finished out all of the core logic, all of the core functionality of the application. And when I finished that, I just wanted to add this calculator. Max, who you've seen typing in chat, Purple Dragon, was learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and created a JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript calculator that we just pulled in most of the UI for and modified for our needs and purposes, made it Blazor. And then, as I was struggling to write the logic for the calculator, Peter, live coding, was like, you know, I'm kind of interested in writing tests for this calculator. So he did. And he contributed it to our open source project, which you can see on the GitHub. I do find the occasional testing heretic. Wait, what? Heretic. Heretic, used as an adjective. It is or adverb. Adverb? Used as a verb by itself. Heretic. Anyway, but it's mostly a lonely journey. So anyway, so he gave us a whole bunch of tests and he gave us this nice structure, and he talking bad about himself, this nice structure for performing these tests. It's really just one set of logic for performing any of the tests, but they are all individual tests, which is really cool. I was like, I wouldn't have thought to do it this way. This is pretty awesome. And I found it to be very helpful. So what I did after struggling with the implementation that we had is I scrapped all of the logic, kept the UI, scrapped the logic, and then had all of the tests failing, and then wrote the logic to make each test pass in turn. So now we are actually doing TDD in the sense that we don't have the functionality written. We do have tests that say this is what the functionality should be. Ooh. Inline data. 1 plus 22 plus should output 23 plus with our display of 0. Wait, I did that backwards. So our display input would be 0. All right. I just thought of a new test to add to this because that one matters. Does that one actually do it? Okay, so I am going to still finish catching up on this last bit of chat, and then we will why didn't it actually run this test? Is it because I didn't build? And then we will get the next one. All right, cool. The next test, unskipped, have it fail, and then make it pass. And it looks like that is our last test too. So if we get that to work, then our calculator should be fully functional. All right. So TDD even. Thindle said it's the evolution from Stack Overflow driven development into GitHub Copilot chat driven development. GHCPCDDD. You do TDD, I'll do GCD. Okay. Peter said, I can get you there still for useful tests, but it will be my way, and everyone else who sees the test will revolt. But never forget, if it's me versus the world, bet on me, I will. Legitimately, I am completely, oh my gosh, at least 95% alone in the .NET community regarding useful testing for business apps. I do find the occasional testing heretic, but it's mostly a lonely journey. There, now I got the whole thing. And then Rao says, I so often just use SQLite memory for tests or RealDB, depending on speed requirements and the type of test. Sure, unit tests with mocks, but UI tests are often integration tests for me. True. And just use RealDB. Yeah, that I'm considering that. It's just that because all of these tests rely on the same table, essentially, then I'd be modifying the database table in one test. Unless, of course, you just use the in-memory DB with the named instance. Like you're creating a new DB every single time that you do a test, but at that point in time, that's definitely going to be way too much. So then you could also just have and then also SQLite just performs differently. Like the data types are different. I don't know. We could talk more about that though, if you do have ideas on how I can improve that, because we need to go back and revisit those tests anyway. I don't know if you noticed while I was in it, but I have marked all of them as skip because they're all currently failing, or 95% of them, to use Peter's statistic number, are failing. And it would be nice if they weren't failing. Okay, more chat. Sorry, I'm considering myself a testing heretic because, see, now and you use it as a noun. Because I enjoy enlightened integration tests strongly over unit tests, and it's rare I find someone who agrees with me. I don't have too much of an opinion on testing as it is. I completely understand the approach that you took here, and because it is B unit, we're testing a component, it is integration testing. So it's kind of unavoidable. Even though it's unit testing, it's still integration testing in this case. Where are we? Wow. Yes, one more person, says Peter. He says it just like that too. Wow. Now dump most of the unit tests and we can fully agree. And then Rao responded to Peter saying, alone in what opinion? Curious. Been doing TDD.NET since like .NET 1.1, so I'm biased. That's awesome. You can definitely help me out then if you have opinions on it, because again, my opinions are wavering. They aren't solidified. They are moldable. I'd be happy to take on any suggestions that you have, as long as I'm still able to get work done. Like, the main thing that happened at the time of writing these tests is I spent so much time on them, I got fed up, and I'm like, I just want to do software development now. Let's do the core application logic. And then we did. And it did awesome. And thank you so much for the follow, Rao. Peter said to Rao, I don't use mock or whatever, and I try to test with either a fake in-memory DB context or SQLite, or do a lot of work to spin up a real SQL database for tests. And then Rao responded, I was writing that last message before I saw your replies on a small phone. Oh, yeah, about all that stuff. Okay. And then Peter said, thank you so much for the follow. C0D code. Ooh, I can read. I will have to. Oh, no, we're good. I was right. Oh my goodness. Thank you. You guys are being so nice. Felor. Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much for the follow. So kind. So delightful. Morale responded to Peter. Wait, Peter responded to Morale saying, I don't use muck. All right, I read that. And then Morale said to Peter, haha, I was writing that last message before I saw your replies on a small phone. I already read that too. Then Peter said, my tests are 8,000% more useful, but they lack. They are icky and slow. They do not lack, most likely. They're just slow. And then Morale responded with, gotta rock that testing pyramid. I don't know what that is, but yeah, you do. And then Peter said, I prefer the testing Seattle Space Needle. Fat at the tip, supporting structure. Completely alone. And Morale said, sounds like you do an inverted testing pyramid. So do I. And emojis for the win. That's a cool emoji. What is that one? 19 hertz. You delete all from the DB for each test. Yeah, the issue with that is if I am trying to do a get, so my get all payments, for example, let's mock up the values that we are putting into the DB, which means that the DB needs to have values. My name is Code. How are you? Doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. And Dragon Spirit is here. Shout out for Dragon Spirit Games. We'll do a real shout out in a minute. But if you don't know Dragon Spirit Games, he is an amazing Unity developer working on a game called Tacos. Gaia. Wait, I forget. What engine are you using for Gaia? I think I need to sort this out because I keep saying you do Unity because you were using Unity for that Game Jams game. But is Gaia in Unity? But anyway, it's a game about his daughter. He's using a whole bunch of really cool technology stuff, like making sure that he is being all-inclusive for who can play the game by having accessibility concerns and stuff like that. And yeah, just a really cool guy. Really cool guy. But I also use Godot, Game Maker, and Unreal. So yes, it is Unity, but he can do it in any of them. Okay, back up here. Peter said to me, but it's not. It feels like a lot, but you write helper methods for setup. True. Usually that setup is way easier because you just run your EF migrations to create the DB once, so I'm guessing. That's how I say my name too. Purr is fine. I like saying meow. It's much more fun. But if you do prefer Purr, then I will call you Purr. Okay. I just only use Unity for Gaia. Wow. I didn't know that. Okay. So before each test, you run a helper that adds required fixtures, DB rows to the DB. Ideally, you only add what you need. Yeah. So if I have my get all payments, I'm adding all of my payments that I'm expecting to get back. But if I also have next to it a get payment by ID that adds a new record to the database that I'm expecting to get back, I can't clear my database table out unless I get a completely new database context. Or not database context, but like an ID, essentially. So I would have to do my add new data, save changes. I guess I could do it. Yeah. You do clear out your DB between tests and run them one at a time. That would be the thing that would be too much for me. Run them one at a time. However, what I could do is wrap the DB context in a transaction and say add to database, get from database within that same transaction. Would that be possible? And that way all of my tests can run simultaneously and they would just all use their transaction. Make a separate DB per test. Yeah, so then when it's a bigger database, my migration has a whole bunch of pre-populated seed data for my lookup tables. Like in my account, there's an account type kind of thing. Yeah, anyway. She, did I call someone a specific gender? I usually use they. Oh, or is that what you prefer? Route your DB between test runs, run them one at a time. Test becomes 10 times slower because they run one at a time, but 10 times of like 2 milliseconds is still pretty fast. You're right. I mean, it could be seconds with the needing to do the migration for everyone. Tyrant says, I made a separate DB per test. Morale says to Peter, you haven't perchance ever written boo.net? If so, I'm truly no longer alone myself. And Peter said to Morale, no, and I'm not anonymous here. But I did read Allende's blog talking about boo all those years ago. Links in my Twitch profile, by the way. Peter had streamed a couple times recently, and I missed both of them. So if you happen to see him go live, it is rare, and it is a really fun time over in his stream. Hopefully it's not going to be as rare. Well, not hopefully. I don't want to put any pressures on you, but if it is less rare... Boo, I kind of know that, but not really. Wasn't that a primer? I kind of remember Boo, Hello Book, Hello World, Boo, something. But yeah, I was obsessed with Boo. At least you've heard of it. I think 2 people have heard of it here. At least 2 people. Other people might just be lurking and not able to answer and respond. Okay. I'm going to do the next test, so I won't be looking at chat for a little bit, so I can have this test fail and then eventually fix it. Oh, the app is just no longer running. Did Visual Studio crash or something? Because neither of my PowerShells... I'm just gonna close that one as if it didn't happen. It kind of looks like the app or PowerShell just crashed. I heard that as I'll cook. Oh yeah, and I did want to do a for real shout out for Dragon Spirit Games with preview, so you can take a quick glance at Gaia.
What I'm doing, I'm making a game about my daughter.
That's around the bottom corner.
Of you who are new to my stream, my daughter is Gaia. She's in the right bottom of my screen. As you can see, she's a almost 5-year-old girl. She's going to be 5 in July, end of July. And I'm making a game about her because I also am a great fan of Greek mythology, and that's where her name comes from. So yeah, she's the object.
But yes, that is a quick clip of Dragon Spirit's game. I turned it up as loud as I could. Sorry if it was still quiet. But if you want to know more, definitely visit his stream. It's good times there too. Speaking of... Despacito. Why is that speaking of? Where are my browsers? You there. Go over to... Nope, not that browser. Oh. Wait a minute. When did I... What's going on? There. Oh, it's here. Okay, never mind. Just kidding. Just kidding. Finite, for example. Old bearded builder. And Unity is streaming currently. Okay, back to the topic at hand. So let's make another test fail by not skipping it. And Control RT. And again, that's Control R, let go of Control, press T, and that'll run your tests, not in debug, without the debugger attached, is what I mean to say. And in this case, because my that test passed. Was I expecting it to pass? I don't think I was expecting it to pass. With my cursor inside of the method body, it knew to run only this test, but if I happen to have my cursor up here, I'll wait for it to finish running. Do the thing. Unless it already did run. It did run. If I have my cursor outside of the method bodies, and I just do Control RT, it knows to run the entire class. Wait, why are you now giving me a skipped? I'm gonna rebuild, just in case. This thing is being oh no, shouldn't have rebuilt. File is in use, I can't build. That's what they said about your file. Okay. Yeah, why are you still skipping? Why are you skipping? Hello? Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. So let's just go up here, push the play button. And there we go. All of the calculator tests are passing. I really wasn't expecting the pressing the operation buttons after the equal sign working. So that would be the instance where you go 1 plus 5 equals plus 4. And there it goes. It's just working. Wow, we have a fully functional calculator that's working the way we expected to. I guess there are still some things that we haven't covered, though. There is some missing test coverage. And if I had, I think Visual Studio Enterprise, we would see the glyphs that show you what is currently being covered by a test and whether it is passing or failing. I don't know if you get that in Visual Studio Community, which is what I'm currently using. It would be nice though. And then the other thing that I think you get in Visual Studio Enterprise that you don't get in Visual Studio Community is IntelliTest, which will run your test every time you make a code change to the methods that are covered by your test. That made sense, right? Okay, so there are still tests that I am not, or scenarios that I have not covered. Clear button. Clear all. Yes. Pushing, oh, this is a good one. Pushing the operator button multiple times in a row. So if I push 5 plus 2 plus 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 plus, I should be continually adding the most recently number pushed. So if we look at the Windows calculator, 5 plus, sorry, I'll do it with my mouse. 5 plus 2 plus 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 plus. Why aren't you doing it? Oh, it's equals. It's equals. Okay, I need to rewrite that. Test for pushing equal sign, submit button multiple times in a row after performing a calculation. And then what is the behavior for pushing the equal sign by itself? Same thing. So when you do 5 equals, this calculator actually does do a calculation and it spits back the number that you entered multiple times. Okay, so test pushing submit button multiple times in a row after performing a calculation repeats the last operation using the new value. Calculated value. And previous. And the reason that I'm typing this out like this, by the way, is to see if I can cheat. Let's see if we can use our resources and verify that it is written correctly, but see if Copilot can pick up on the pattern that we're using for the rest of our tests and write us a test that does this. This is for science. I'm gonna turn word wrap on. Okay, so test for pushing submit button multiple times in a row after performing a calculation repeats the last operation using the new calculated value and previous input value. Okay, we're gonna try asking it to do this for us. Copilot chat. Gosh, why was that so hard to remember? We're gonna try Copilot chat to see if it will do that for us. We're gonna say, write a test, write a pasta. Test for performing buzz 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 ba. And it gave us nothing back. Wow, that just went away. So no, it does not read our code to follow the patterns that were already there. So regular Copilot does do a pretty good job of doing that, but Copilot chat still needs a little bit more context. Use the same approach as the rest of the tests in calculator tests. Yeah, you weren't. Okay. So no, we'll write it ourselves. Anyone want to come up with a good name for this test? Pressing submit button multiple times works. That's a good name. Thank you, Copilot. No one else wanted to. I'm kidding. All right, we want this to be a theory. And we're going to have a few cases. The first case is going to be the one where pushing 5 followed by equals outputs. And this is what we need to decide. When you just put one input and then the equal sign, do we want it to look like the Windows calculator does? 5 equals, where it outputs 5 equals? I mean, does that really matter to us? Or do we just ignore the equal click or push, whatever it's called? And I think right now we just ignore it. 5 equals. Because there is no current calculated value, there is no previous operator. And so pushing it multiple times just gives us the same input number back, and calculated value would be null. So does this work? Wow. Beautiful formatting. Cool. And then 5 equals should also give us back 5 as our currently input value and nothing as our formula output. And that does. Okay, so now the one that is going to pass, this will be our test-driven version. If we do something like 5 plus 2 equals, this will be 7, 9, 11, 13. And it'll be 11 plus 2 equals. Do I have a space after? I do have a space after. Okay, so if we try this, we're going to fail. And notice I've been doing all of these with just the plus operator. I guess this one has a multiply operator. So we'll want to add some test cases where we're using the different operators together. We know that basic division works, basic multiplication works, basic subtraction works. Okay, so our test is failing as expected, and it's failing on specifically pressing multiple times after pressing an operator. So 5 plus 2 equals, we are getting back 7 because the more equals we push, the operator doesn't do anything special. So this is the one that I got stuck on when I decided to scrap it all and just take Peter's tests and try to get it working this way. So hopefully now that we've gone this far with our tests, I won't break anything and we'll get it implemented correctly. So if we push the equal sign after having had entered other numbers, then we will be at a case where our prev op is now equal. Submit. Which is not good, right? Because we're overriding prev op every time. And so if I push equals again, then our current op is going to be equals. Our prev op will have a value, but it will be equals. And so we won't perform any of these operations, which is why I ended up using active operator. Oh, that's where active operator came from. Okay, so I removed the clearing out the active operator, which hopefully doesn't break any of my tests. I'm trying to go to this thing. I wanted to see all of my tests. Plus. Plex. Okay, so the only one that's failing is the one that we're trying to turn green. Good. So with active operator, we will always keep track of the most recently pressed operator that is not the equal sign. In which case, all that we have to do to get this to work without breaking anything else is to switch on active operator. So what are we even using previous operator for anymore? We even using previous operator for? Interesting. If we do this, and we'll have to do it this way, yeah? There's an issue with that. Right, okay. So active operator we use in more places than just here. Active operator is the thing that tells our UI which one of these operators should be indicated as being active. Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun. The input dirty thing. Really need the minus sign to look different than the negative symbol. Anyway, what was I trying to say? Okay, so when I push, I don't want to clear out the active op. So when I push one of these operators, I am always going to set the active operator equal to the one that I just pushed, unless it's the equal sign, in which case I will not override the active operator. But when I push the equal sign currently, I am clearing out the active operator, and I don't want to do that. Where is that happening? Handle clear clicked? Nope, not in handle clear clicked. Is it that you are actually running to get the code changes? Ops. Peace. Okay. Apparently we were in the data entry forms, but whatever. 1 plus 2 equals. Okay, so we are not clearing out the active operator anymore from some change that I made, which means yeah, again, why would it even matter to track the equal sign as my last button? At the moment it doesn't. Bar opt to use. I think I started with something like this, so I'm going to type it out. It probably won't make sense to do this anymore, but if op equals operator.submit, then use the active operator, otherwise use the previous operator. If opt to use has value, then switch on opt to use. This is bad, and the reason that this doesn't make sense to do is because if we push the submit button again, then previous operator will be submit. So if I do something more like if previous operator equals submit, then use active operator, otherwise use previous operator. We could do something like that. That should work. It still failed. And it's because we went to 56. How did we go to 56? We went 5 plus 2 equals 7 plus 2 equals 9 plus 2 equals 11 plus 2 equals 13. And this thing is saying 56. 5 plus 2 equals 7 equals, aha. Aha. Like, it's still weird though that it gave me 56 when we really should have done okay. I deflux. I stumped myself again. What are we looking at? We are looking at, let's go back to prevop. Back to prevop. Prevop. So if we push a number plus another number with the equal sign and then equals again, did you not apply? Oh. And we would do nothing because there is nothing to handle the case of submit. Ah, okay. Brain is working a little bit. So if I push 5 plus 2 equals, and then I do another equals, then we just keep getting output equals the number that we have as our value. Why? Because there is no calculated error. So we need to tell it what to actually output in the case of submit. So how about this then? If prevop has a value, why would we need to constrain it to that? We don't. We can keep this thing back here for our op. Thanks for the lurk. Our opt to use is when op is submit, use active op, otherwise prevop. So this makes sense currently. We still want to do the calculation here. However, we need to set up our display. You're gonna rebuild? It's gonna rebuild. We need to set up our display so that we reset it if op is operator.submit And we want our formula output to be empty. Do we though? What happens if we do that? I can't think about it right now. Oh my gosh, come on, brain. You were doing so well. So if we empty out the formula output, then I don't want that. What we want is to set the formula output to current value. Because then is it this thing that concatenates? No, it doesn't. Okay, yeah. All right. Active op. And then we're going to need the previous number. Which I think when we push the equal sign, we have the number that we need. Oh, no, because now this would be display number plus previously entered number. Yeah, so that's where my issue is going to be. Dude, opt to use. My bad. Opt to use. I was like, I'm doing a null check. Why are you angry at me? Get. Nope. Display. Nope. What did I call it? Opt back get display text. Oh boy. And do get display text on. Oh boy. All right, we're really close. So now the only thing that we're missing is when we are doing another submit without having, oh my goodness, brain. We're doing another submit without having pressed another operator. It almost seems to me like I need a flag called use previous operator or use previous data or something. Ooh. How about this? How about we create a data structure for our previously pushed input? So like if I push +2, that's when I would want to record the, oh my gosh. When I do the calculation here, that's when I will want to keep track of what was the previous number that I used in the calculation, aka the currently displayed input number, and the operator that's being used. Okay, let's just try it out, see what happens. class. Actually, let's make it a struct. Previous. What is the part? I mean, this is exactly what I want, but what is the part called? Oh no. Okay, we'll make it a private struct inside of this class. What is the part of a mathematical formula called that appears after the operator? Operand? Just need the simple one. Give me a simple one. I don't need a full trigonometric. It's just a value. They're two values that are being added, and it doesn't matter which one is on the left, which one is on the right. They're just both called constants. Something. Yeah. They're just values. Boo. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's really making me want to refactor this, but we'll do that after we're done with our tests and making our tests work the way that we are expecting them to. I would really, really like there to be a model that represents the current state of our calculator, which I talked about doing before, but now that we have all of these extra private fields, we can just put them inside of a struct, and then be able to use that thing as our full-on model for our memory, especially since we're going to be adding stuff like the ability to push a value to memory. Okay, so what we're going to do then is when we are doing the actual calculation, we're going to keep track of if it is not submit. Wait, we need a thingy for you. Last operation. And since it's a struct, we don't have to initialize it. We don't need to do new. Oh, this is private field. So last operation dot operator is equal to opt to use. Last operation dot value is equal to the currently displayed number. Does that mean that we need to track which value to use? I think it does. So we have opt to use and we'll have value to use. Which will go inside of here. And if operator is submit, value to use will be the last operation dot value. No, this is not good. What am I braining? Anyone know what I'm braining? If we're pushing the equal sign, we want to use the last, no. The last value No, I can't brain. Welcome back. This entire logic is not right. I'm just doing it in a way that it doesn't need to be done. What do I need here? I need to know what was the last number that we input before pushing the equal sign. So when we push the equal sign, that's when we're going to capture the last number that we input. Yep, I'm gonna have to come back to this. My brain went kaput for this one. I don't know what happened, but we do have a good test. It is a failing test, which is good, because we really need to get it to work. So for now, I am going to do skip this test. I said skip with why? Anyway, I would like to skip this test because it's not implemented yet, so that I can get rid of this. Yeah, I can get rid of this. Gosh, I really want to undo those changes for just this, but I can't think of the logic that I'm trying to do because I'm getting emails and chats and stuff that I need to respond to. So instead of checking in the thingies that we have already done, I will leave it at this and it'll stay on my machine. I really should have been doing commits in between getting each of the tests to work. That's what it was. Poop, but whatever. So you won't have the most recent changes that got the calculator 90% of the way there, but that's fine. So that is going to be it for my time today, though. I will be back again on the Fridays for a community day. So for those of you that are new here, community day is a day happens every Friday, and I invite people into our Discord voice channel where you can communicate using your lovely voice. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want your voice showing up on stream, which is, by the way, recorded and posted to YouTube no sooner than 24 hours after I end the stream, which I have no idea if I posted our last video to YouTube or not, so I'll have to check that too and get it posted as soon as possible, or our last stream, I should say. Anyway, so you can definitely still participate in community day. I will be paying more attention to chat than I normally do and answer questions, talk about whatever topics you want to talk about. And we have other people that typically like to come into the voice channel and also discuss the same topics. So that'll be fun there. My brain just went kaput because I need to respond to emails that came in and chapters. But when was the last time we raided? On the 2nd. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and set up a raid for the one, the only Settlix. If you don't know Settlix is another game developer. If you couldn't tell, I follow a lot of game developers because I really love watching people work in Unity. I want to learn from them, but Settlix is an amazing human person. I think bot. Bot is what we can call him. Anyway, who has lots of fun on their stream. Sometimes it's a little bit rambunctious, so be prepared for high stimulation. I think they might also have their stream listed as being intended for mature audiences. So if you aren't into that, then you don't have to hop along. Otherwise, I will be lurking over on their channel, hanging out with them, and yeah, just being quiet most of the time, but only after saying hello and answering questions and stuff, because I gotta get back to work. Okay, until the next time though, I'll post this video, the recording of this stream, to YouTube no sooner than 24 hours after I end the stream. And feel free to hop over into Discord, where you can ask questions, talk with the community, meet people, hang out, do whatever. And that's it. Ciao for now.